Welcome back to another Grand Prix weekend. It's Mexico this time around after our fantastic result in Grand Prix in America last time out. If you missed it, you need to watch it because it was a hell of a Grand Prix with plenty of action and loads of different strategies going on, just like the Spanish Grand Prix in real life that we just watched live on the Twitch channel as well. Today we're in Mexico as we try and get more points and podiums and potentially more on the board. Unfortunately, as we've approached this Grand Prix, we haven't been able to keep developing the car, so we've fallen behind a little bit from where we were in the United States. So I'm not anticipating us being as competitive here as we were last time out, but we have more upgrades on the way, and hopefully we can still challenge potentially for P3 in the constructors and maybe first or second in the drivers. Time will tell. You can tell from the weather forecast, though, that we will start dry and end wet in the Grand Prix, as we did in the United States as well. But fingers crossed, we can have a strong weekend. Mexico's always a track I tend to do quite well at. Not necessarily sure why that is. Similar to Russia before that obviously got removed for rather obvious reasons. So I don't know whether we'll have a good weekend or not. I'd love a podium. I don't think we're going to get a victory here like we did in the States, but I'd love a podium. Regardless, I'd also love you to drop the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you'd be so kind. We are really not far away from full F1 23 game content and the start of a brand new My Team save. So, really hoping that comes over the next few days and really hoping that you guys will be here for it. I'm going to jump into practice, go and get myself some resource points to try and upgrade the car yet further. Right, missed the screen where we got our resource points, but we have 1,600 available to us. I could do the rear downforce. Equally, could do some tyre wear stuff. Or maybe weight redistribution, which is going to make some change to our performance index, but not a massive amount. Aero-wise, that's only going to have a tiny little impact as well, and I can't do anything else on the aero side of things. When it comes to ERS, doesn't make much of a difference. Comes to fuel efficiency, doesn't make much of a difference. I'm not sure where to spend these points at the minute. I have been struggling a little bit with rear downforce. So rather than because it's going to get me a big gain, I might just do this purely because A, it'll be done for the next Grand Prix provided it passes, and B, it's an area of the car where I felt like it's been at its weakest, rather than it actually just in general going to advance us further up the R&D process. So we'll head to qualifying now in the glorious Mexican sunshine, and fingers crossed we'll make it through to Q3 comfortably. Do struggle with rear traction quite a bit. It's P5 for Q1, which is not terrible, but not great either. That's why I put the resource points into the rear of the car, because I do struggle to get the power down at times. And rear traction is definitely an issue, regardless of track or setup. I do always struggle with throttle application. It might just be a symptom of being on controller as opposed to wheel and having just more travel in the throttle applications. You can be more precise, I'm not sure. Probably that, more so than anything else, to be fair. But regardless, we're able to comfortably get through. I will do a cycle lap here. I wasn't planning on maybe doing a cycle lap because I didn't feel quite so competitive there. I will do a cycle lap just so I've got a delta to compare against for Q2. We should still relatively comfortably make it through, though, to Q3. We're going to be in the 16s here, I think. 16.7, indeed we are. That is a banger, mate. That's a great lap. Okay. So we are competitive here, potentially. That's only Q2, not Q3. But we're competitive here, potentially, for a similar sort of result and competitive level to yesterday. That said, Charles Leclerc's just gone and banged in a 16.5, so maybe I've spoken too soon. Purple Sector 2 as well. We got pole in America. Now, I'm not great in Sector 3, that's the thing. We got pole position in America. We were second in Q2, trying to get maybe some sort of slip off the back of Alonso here across the line to maybe get back-to-back pole positions, which we do! then the car is not as competitive here as it was comparatively to the other teams in the United States, but we've still snuck a P1. I wanted a 16.5. Charles Leclerc with a 16.6. That would have been quicker than my Q2 time. So I needed to go faster than I did in Q2. We have done, and I think actually that 16.5 from me would have been faster than Leclerc's 16.5 from Q2 as well. P1, right. Are we in potentially for back-to-back victories as well? That's a little bit more open for question, especially with rain coming earlier than it did in the United States. Game on, though. Sorely tempted to take grid penalties at some point between now and the end of the season. It's just a case of deciding whether to do it in Abu Dhabi or in Brazil. Here, though, I wasn't going to give up that pole position. However, Lando has given up his P5. Lando will start a long way back. Mick starts P8. Verstappen and Norris both taking penalties. Although, for the World Championship, Verstappen having a penalty is actually good news for me. I'm 40 points behind Leclerc, 33 points behind Max Verstappen, with 75 points available. So it's going to be tough to try and even overcome second place, but it is mathematically doable, and with Max finishing as low down as he is,
left. You still have a chance of the title, but going to need some special performances. See what you can do, mate.
Still have a chance of the title, you're damn right I do. And with rain coming, I don't know whether to go medium and try and wait till the rain and not touch the soft tyre at all. Where is the rain going to come? By lap 43? Or by lap 55? I don't know. But we are absolutely definitely getting quite a substantial downpour at the end of the race. I am torn. I really don't know what to do here. You'll find out in a moment with the cut what I do decide to do, but I need to defer to my race engineering team, also known as Twitch Live Chat. So we will start medium. We will then query what's happening with the rain. And depending on the feedback from the engineer and the weather forecast, we will then either go to softs for a quick stint and then hope that the rain, or see that the rain is going to come in that period, or we'll then go to another set of mediums and long it out to the rain and avoid a second pit stop that you presume the other drivers that have started on softs will have to take if the rain comes before 44. So start on the mediums, see what the engineer and the weather forecast says, and take it from there. Decision made. Here we go. Got loads of wheel spin in recent launches. Managed to avoid too much wheel spin there, and that is not a bad start considering we're on the medium tyre. Leclerc has gone defensive here, and I will go attacking. I've got another Ferrari on one side of me and Mercedes now on the other as well. So trying to survive here with minimal damage. There's contact between Lewis and Leclerc. Lewis is going to be tight on that inside line, so we've only lost one position at the start. That's good news for us. That I need to take a breather. Oh my god, that was intense through turn one, wasn't it? Let's have a look at that again off board. That was proper chaos. Proper chaos here with 3 wide into turn one here. I've got Lewis on one side, Carlos on the other. There is maybe contact with me and Carlos there, side pod to tyre. Then Lewis runs a bit deep and makes contact their front wing on rear right of Charles Leclerc. And luckily for him and Charles, no damage or puncture. And I just trying to hold on and then take the inside line on Lewis here and nearly contact there as well. And we just hold it around the outside as Lewis actually clambers over the curb there. I think I left him enough racing room. No, I definitely didn't leave him enough racing room. I probably would have gotten a penalty for that in real life for squeezing Lewis into. Although to be fair, he's already aiming off track before I've even started to turn in. So he's decided to go there before I've actually pinched. So maybe that would go down as a racing incident. I'm not sure. Lewis seemingly taking evading action before he needed to, and if he'd have held his position there and gone for the proper racing line, then I probably would have had to change my line and allow him the space that he didn't allow himself. So actually, I don't know as I would have got a penalty for that. That's why things go to the stewards and get discussed. So then, here we go. After a really intense first couple of corners, we think we're now settled for the rest of this first stint, but Charles Leclerc will disappear down the road in front of me on those soft tyres for sure. We know though from looking at the data before we started qualifying during practice that these medium tyres are at best 6.5 tenths a lap slower than the softs. So Charles Leclerc is going to go bye-byes, and we're going to have to do as much defending as possible from behind. The fact that Checo's been able to get up to P5 might actually help. The fact that it's Alonso in P4 might actually help in that Alpine as well. So we're getting a couple of helping hands here, just as we did in the United States last time out. Only this time, I'm not going to be able to hold on to whoever it is that's in first. It was Lewis before, it's Charles Leclerc now. DRS enabled, and George is just going to take me. My aim is to hang on to the back of Alonso when they overtake me with their DRS, basically. Because I'm not going to be able to keep them behind. If I can stick with them, then that will help my overall race pace. Checo actually taking Sergio Perez here, and now battling with Russell as well. Sergio Perez is on one here. Sergio Perez is now up to third. Now that would really help me as well. And they're battling like mad behind too. So this is quickly becoming myself and Charles Leclerc's opportunity to build some gaps and strongly help both of our races. With now they're out of DRS range behind as well, so I can save my... Well, I still use some battery, but I'm not going to need to use anywhere near as much of my battery down the main straight to try and keep myself in a good position here. We're still looking good for a podium, certainly, at this stage anyway. I'm really surprised at Checo. P7 to P3 on mediums compared to those running softs. That's a really great start for him. And Max Verstappen, P10. Max having a terrible points tally here would help me no end in trying to catch him in the driver's standings. But we have significantly worn parts, so I am slightly concerned of having mechanical failure in this Grand Prix as well. I'm going to have to manage that too. I'll show you here. You can see the percentage wear of a number of my components, and I'm not sure they're going to last that well. I might end up having to take a penalty in Brazil or Abu Dhabi, as we say. I'll probably take it in Brazil because it'll be easier to overtake in Brazil than it will in Abu Dhabi. But it'll be much easier to hang on to the back of Checo than it would be to hang on to the back of someone on softs in a Mercedes or a Ferrari. Another DRS section here though.
Okay, we lost the position. Try to keep focus.
Right, now my plan is to just hang on to the back of Sergio Perez, which I should be able to do with DRS for the rest of this stint. Oh, Checo got a big snap there. You saw that. That was huge oversteer on the back of that Red Bull. For the minute, I'm not trying to catch him and overtake him. I'm just trying to hang on to the back of him, as you can see in front. And in the Delta top left, we are now starting to catch Charles Leclerc. As their soft tyres are starting to lose their grip and wear quite highly, we are closing in on Charles Leclerc in P1. And this is where the strategy comes into play, with trying to factor in the rain as well. I could drain my battery to try and get past him, but in a minute, that's not the right thing to do. There you go, Charles Leclerc in the pits now. So the soft run is starting to pit now on lap 12. Although Russell and Alonso behind, continuing on. Leclerc going to mediums. We're not planning on pitting until lap 28 or so. So we're still only just under halfway through this stint. Leclerc has put mediums on, And depending on what happens with the weather forecast, we will either put softs on because the rain is imminent at the end of this stint, or we'll put mediums on again because the rain isn't coming yet. Because I'm not close enough to make Perez go defensive at all. We're still just going at maximum pace. All the soft runners have now stopped, I think. So Charles Leclerc is back up to P4, but he's going to have to catch and pass and get through Max Verstappen before Max is even considering coming in for his fresh set of tyres. So Leclerc not only has to close the gap, but he also has to get through another driver and overtake, which will slow him up as well in his pursuit of myself and Sergio Perez. Still no chance of rain for ages yet.
Radar is clear, weather is looking good for now. Okay, dry seem like the best tyre for now.
If anything, the clouds that were there at the very beginning of the race have dissipated and they're not there anymore. Okay, Max has just closed in on that lap, so I might consider trying to get past Sergio Perez next lap. So I think we might have...
Leading our teammate by 37.4 seconds.
We might have enough of a tyre advantage on Sergio Perez now to make the overtake and be able to get out of DRS range from him and leave him behind. I'm sure I'm quite close enough here. I might be. I'm going to go for it. Sergio went defensive. I'm going to have DRS in the next section as well. I'm going to dive up the inside there just to put him offline. And that's the lead of the Grand Prix back again. I got very aggressive there, and that could have ended up with contact, but I put my faith in Sergio that he'd see me coming and know that I wasn't going to give up. So he hopped out of the way to preserve both of our Grand Prix. That was a little bit Max Verstappen-y of me. So now the plan will be to try and get Perez out of my DRS range behind so that I can then start to gap he and Max Verstappen. But we lost about half a second trying to get past Checo there. So Max is now considerably under 15 seconds to me. Esteban Ocon is out of the session. Ocon has retired. Not entirely too sure why. Probably just a mechanical thing.
Rain is forecast in just over 10 minutes time. Rain in 10 minutes. Gap to your teammate behind is 39.3 seconds.
Rain in 10 minutes. I will ask again when we get near our pit stop. And we might try and stay on this set of medium tyres till the rain. So I will either extend this medium set, or if we do stop, it will be for a soft set of tyres about lap 25-ish. Depends what that forecast, or how that forecast changes over the next few laps. I've run out of battery now trying to defend or maintain a gap, build a gap to Sergio Perez. So we need to save battery for a little bit. You can see the difference in pace on the soft tyres though, because the Williams of Alex Albon's come out of the pits in front of us and is pulling away from me here. I'm not having the opportunity to lap him because he's just quicker. But yes, Cat is certainly amongst pigeons with regards to the weather and pit strategy now. And those clouds are reappearing. You can see as we come through this stadium section, that was bright blue sky just 5 or so laps ago. Verstappen's just pit behind for a set of softs on lap 24. So Max is committing to another stop before the rain, potentially, by pitting as early as he has. Max might have just screwed his race by pitting that early. I'm thinking more on the lines of extending this medium stint by a couple of laps rather than shortening this medium stint by a couple of laps. Because the rain is still 10 to 15 minutes away. We don't know how heavy it will be when it comes. Again, Checo having some trouble with rear traction there through that middle sector. Nearly losing his rear end, as we've seen happen a couple of times. Checo is pitting now the lap after as well. So Sergio Perez pits.
Okay, we're approaching the pit window. You're going to be on softs.
I imagine Checo is going to go to softs as well. We'll find out. Because he'll come out ahead of Max Verstappen. It looks like Checo's putting mediums on. Sergio Perez has gone to mediums. So both Red Bulls running different strategies. That really changes things. Because now I really don't know what to do for the best. If Max has put softs on, but Checo's put mediums on, and they're both in the same team with the same weather information, what the hell does that mean for me? So we think we know that the rain is going to get heavy, or it's going to be very heavy rain when it arrives. So I don't anticipate the rain coming and then being light enough for a little while that we can still run on softs, or run on dries even. But they've been saying 10 to 15 minutes for about 7 or 8 laps. So 10 to 15 minutes is still 10 to 15 minutes after 10 minutes.
5 minutes until rainfall expected. 5 minutes until rain. Okay, dries seem like the best tyre for now.
How have we gone?
Pitting this lap then.
How have we gone from 10 to 15 minutes to 5 minutes in the space of a lap? Pitting for softs and we go hell for leather till the rain. They've said 10 minutes before and then upped it to 15 minutes again. So I think it's going to be overcast for a bit, but not rain. And then the rain will come, is my expectation here. Sergio Perez is right behind Charles Leclerc as well, by the way. So the gap to the lead is only about a second more than it says the gap to second is. And that gap is coming down considerably.
Right,
Fastest lap of the race.
On the car ahead.
We're going to take third place here. Go defensive as you like, Max. It's not going to work. Bring it around the outside, have the inside for this corner. And nip across, have the inside for this corner. And then DRS in this part of the track by Mr. Verstappen. 7.2 seconds to the lead.
Radar suggests some weather's going to hit in around 5 minutes time. So
Still saying 5 minutes.
Best tyre for now.
Still saying 5 minutes for the rain. That's why I extended the medium set. I didn't trust the weather forecast to be as accurate as they were saying. And if that's a purple middle sector as well. And if Checo and Leclerc start fighting for the lead, then that's only going to bring them towards me even faster, isn't it? Which they will be fighting for the lead now. All the way down this straight. Checo may even take the lead into turn 1, and I think that's genuinely what's going to happen. Another fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Checo's now P1. Setting Inters as my next tyre. I'm going to be patient here and just sit behind him, get DRS, and then leave him for dead. Oh, you kidding me?
Okay, the stewards have now disabled DRS. DRS is now disabled.
They disabled it when I was 500 yards from actually getting it. That's annoying. I wanted that to try and help take Leclerc. If I had DRS here, this would be such an easier overtake. Around the outside, around the inside, and we're up. It's not Inters yet, but we're not far from. They want me to pit for Inters this lap. Okay, now is the time then. Everyone's changing over. Verstappen, by running the strategy he was on, has actually got himself up to P4 now. So Max has run a great strategy to keep himself in the hunt for a podium or a win. We've gained a second through the pit stops to Sergio as well. He was 3.5 seconds away. He was 2.5 as we came out. Now it's 2.9.
Battery charge is high. Let's use that overtake button a bit more.
We are going to be wet weather running till the end, but at some point at some point we will have to switch to full wets because it said 93% chance of rain, and with the really heavy rain symbol. So we will be running full wets by the end, I think. I don't know if I'm going to be competitive in the wet or not, and I envisage not. I tend to be less competitive in the wet than I am in the dry. Gap to Checo's growing. The two behind me are definitely stuck, and the gap to Alonso in 5th is also growing. So we're faster than the Alpine, but slower than the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Using my battery as best I can to defend where I can, but I am slow here. I am low on engine power from a worn ICE, and my turbocharger is slightly worn as well, which isn't helping.
The turbocharger's on its last legs. Let's try to keep mileage on it to a minimum.
What? I don't understand that radio call. Keep mileage on it to a minimum. I guess it factors in if I was in a practice session, I could maybe swap it out for a different turbocharger. But in a Grand Prix situation like this, the amount of mileage it needs to do is the same, whether it's new or old. It's got to get me to the end of the Grand Prix. So, sorry.
There appears to be an issue. We're currently
Oh
investigating.
god, now there's an issue as well. The worn parts are killing me. The worn parts are killing me. Maybe we should have taken the grid penalty here rather than waiting for Brazil. They're going to get back to me about what that... I presume it's turbocharger related anyway.
It looks like we're experiencing an ERS software glitch.
An ERS software glitch. So, thankfully that is manageable because I just can't use my battery. But, evidently, not being able to use my ERS means I'm vulnerable down the main straight. So Charles Leclerc has taken me.
Good news.
It's
It looks
back,
like the
it's
fire's
back,
been
it's
fixed.
back.
Let's go.
It's back, it's back, it's back. Now can I get Charles back with it now that it's returned? Dear me, it's just been chaos. Oh, by the way, your turbocharger's knackered. Oh, also your ERS is offline. No, don't worry, it's back again, but you might have lost the place because of it. Can you please try and take it back again? Well, I'll try!
Okay, we've got plenty of energy. Use the overtake button and have a go. Come on, you can do this.
It's through here. I'm knackered through this second sector. So, at present then, with Charles Leclerc finishing in front of me like this, that would probably be the championship over for me. If I finished in front of him, it would still be a slight potential. But with Leclerc getting 3 more points from me than me, he would be 43 points clear of me with 50 available. Or 52 available with fastest lap points. So, not only that, if I stay in front of Max Verstappen as well, it would put Charles in a very commanding position to win the title outright from Max as well, sooner rather than later. I don't know if full wets is the right call though. Inters are still the fastest tyre. We're not actually going to end up switching to full wets. Max is having a look now as well. If Max gets me too, I'd say that's probably 3rd place in the World Championship for me assured then, because I wouldn't really stand a chance of catching Max either. If I can keep Max behind, then it's going to give me a better chance of maybe catching him for P2 in the Championship throughout Brazil and Abu Dhabi. But Charles Leclerc is gone now. Sergio Perez will get the win. Charles Leclerc is going to disappear down the road unless we have a sudden massive downpour and end up needing to go to full wets and pace levels change. With my ICE being worn, my turbocharger being worn, I think that's game. I will finish at best 3rd, at worst 4th. Probably 4th then. There is a yellow flag now. out there for a Haas. Mick Schumacher is out of the Grand Prix. No safety car or anything as a result. Just in the beginning of the third sector before the right-hander into the stadium section. Not worried about fuel. What I am worried about is Fernando Alonso behind, 2.5 seconds down from about 11 or 12, as this car just has more and more issues. A worn turbocharger, severely worn ICE now, that might genuinely be at risk of shitting out of me entirely. Underfloor damage as well. Charles Leclerc has a 5-second penalty for something. Must have overtaken a back marker maybe during the yellow flag zone. Charles Leclerc with a 5-second penalty, which will cost him P2. Let's have a look. What is that for? Charles Leclerc with a 5-second penalty for ignoring a yellow flag. He will have overtaken a back marker under yellow flags, then not given the position back, and as such has incurred a 5-second time penalty, which obviously he can't serve in a pit stop because there are no more pit stops, meaning 5 seconds will get added to his overall race time, and that will take him behind third-placed Max Verstappen, which will bring Max Verstappen closer to Charles Leclerc with regards to the title fight. The gap was 7 points prior to this race. It would have opened from 7 points to 10 points if Leclerc had finished. If Leclerc had finished ahead of Verstappen, but with it going the other way now, the gap will be just 4 points. Going into the final 2 rounds of the championship, so Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc are going to have 4 points separating them with 2 races to go for the title. And I'm trying desperately now, as my wounded animal of a car has been hunted quite literally by Fernando Alonso for the last 10 laps or so, but we should just about be able to hold him off until the end of the race. Sergio Perez has won the Grand Prix. Leclerc now drops to P3 as that penalty is applied as he crosses the line. Max Verstappen takes the P2, and that's your podium. And by a matter of half a second or so, genuinely, one more lap and Fernando would have gotten me. 100%, one more lap and he'd have gotten me. We get P4. In the dry, we may well have won that Grand Prix, but in the rain, I quite simply didn't have the pace, unfortunately, so we have to settle for a P4. We will have to take significant grid penalties in Brazil next time out as well, but we will hope to make good progress in the race itself. It's a sprint race weekend in Brazil as well, so it's going to be a bumper episode with a lot of action, especially if we're going to be coming through the field quite a bit as well. But with 2 rounds to go in this. Yes, it was, thank you.
We should focus on upgrades to our powertrain. That should help reduce the likelihood of faults like these cropping up again in the future.
Thanks, boss. So the standings look like that. I am 42 points behind Charles Leclerc with 50 available. I think the title is gone. Unfortunately, I am 38 points behind Max Verstappen. I think second place is gone, unfortunately. The key fight now is for me to stay ahead of Lewis in the driver's standings, and Sergio Perez, for that matter. And even more importantly, with just 16 points the gap, for McLaren to stay ahead of Mercedes in the Constructors. We want to finish top 3 in the Constructors if we possibly can. I'm going to have to take those penalties for the next Grand Prix. We'll advance as far as and be able to improve the cup. Please pass. Wheel rim covers have passed. That's fantastic. Hopefully the diffuser strakes will as well. And they have indeed. So the car is significantly improved with its aero for the next round of the championship. We'll skip and advance that. Now, is there anything that I can add on that will take effect for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix that can make us even more competitive there. I'd like to do the drag reduction if we can, or maybe weight redistribution. That's going to make a difference. I can't do any more weight reduction, so it's going to be weight redistribution or drag reduction, and I'm going to go for drag reduction. That's not going to be done for either of the Grand Prix, so that is doesn't matter then. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to upgrade the car any more than we currently are for the rest of the season. Valtteri Bottas has now announced his retirement on the back of of Sebastian Vettel announcing his retirement. We will go to the Brazilian Grand Prix and we'll see if we can... Oh, mixed conditions. Oh, wow. The race is going to be dry to wet to dry to wet. Yep. You're not going to want to miss that then in the next episode. Dry to wet to dry to wet in Brazil. That's going to be insane. In the R&D, we have closed into Mercedes again. I could have rushed one of those development parts, but it probably would have failed anyway. And I'm not even sure I would have had the resource points to be able to do it in the first place. So, Brazil is going to be intense if it's probably 4 stops plus weather changes. Yikes. Do join me for it though. Thank you very much for watching this episode. I appreciate it. Drop the video a like if you've enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more. Southampton tomorrow and then F1 again after that. I'll see you in both.